Thank you to everybody for attending today. I'd like to introduce our presenter, Pete Odell. Pete is the CEO of Swan Island Networks, and we'll be presenting today's webinar on situational awareness and information sharing toward recovery. If you do have questions, we will have a Q&A time at the end of the call, and you're welcome to put those questions into the chat box on the right side of the webinar, and I'll capture those during the call. You'll also notice that Pete is sharing some login information for our dashboard site. That's a free COVID-19 monitoring dashboard site that you're welcome to check out throughout the webinar and later. So with that, thanks so much, Pete. I'll hand it over to you.
Great, thanks, Julie. Welcome, everybody. I wanted to give you an overview today of situational awareness, threat monitoring, information sharing, as it relates to TX360 and TX Global, our two products, and COVID-19 and the recovery process. And so I'll give you an overview, encourage you to ask questions through the chat window, and we'll make sure we leave a lot of time for Q&A at the end, because we know that's usually where we get the most and best information out to people. So, quick introduction to the agenda. We'll talk about Swan Island, who we are. I'm going to talk about some definitions of threat monitoring, situational awareness, and information sharing, and how important they are. Talk about the two focus areas for today: COVID-19, where we're right in the middle of it, so there's an act now focus, and on the recovery, where everybody should be thinking about planning for it, because it's going to show up quickly, and waiting is going to be painful if you don't get ahead of it. Very similar to the pandemic. We'll talk about TX360, we'll talk about TX Global, give you a little summary of what those look like, and then we'll touch on some future directions that we find very exciting in the situational awareness and technology areas that affect the information flow of security, of information sharing, and situational awareness. So with that, Swan has been around about 15 years. We've done a lot of different things. Our two major projects today are the New York City Metropolitan Resilience Network, where we support over 400 companies in an information sharing capability through New York University, the Intercept group there. And we also are an Allied University Universal Technology Partner, where we provide a branded version of our product to Allied Universal to sell to their security customers around the world. And from a technology standpoint, our product is a Microsoft Azure cloud product, also built with the Microsoft technology stack, all built in the USA, all very, very solid commercial software. And I am the CEO and was one of the founders of the company. So the last man standing. So I'll touch on resilience, and resilience is something that we're developing as we speak, right? Timex epitomized it in the 60s with a take a licking and keeps on ticking campaign, where they actually would tie a Timex onto somebody's shoe and walk up a mountain and still be ticking. They'd stick one on an outboard motor and jump off a bunch of jumps and it'd still be working. And so, when you take it to the formal definition by Judith Rodin, who's the ex-chairman of the Rockefeller Foundation and has a great book called The Resilience Dividend, it's really this ability to, if it doesn't kill you, it makes you stronger. So, when you prepare for disruptions, but when a disruption happens and you recover from it, you're going to adapt and grow and create a new normal, which we're all going to be doing, very shortly during this recovery phase. So as context, for those of you that may or may not know, about TX360 and TX Global and Swan Island Networks in general, we're a 24/7 all hazard threat monitoring capability. So, the pandemic is front and center today, but every day is a bad day somewhere on the planet, and we help monitor those situations around the world for all of our various customers. And some things are happening that are not making the news that are important to follow, especially if you've got facilities, in the path of a tornado, in the path of severe weather, all those types of things. So we're going to have a lot of concurrent things overlapping with the pandemic and the recovery. We also like to stress, situational awareness and threat monitoring as really key elements of a strategy for a company who's trying to avoid, major shocks to its ecosystem. And sometimes you get no notice events, but in many cases you're going to get, advance notice. And the sooner you get that advance notice, the easier you can actually, mobilize and respond, saving time, putting less lives and property and things at risk, and integrating all that information with your other response capabilities. So, and not just inside your company, but the ability to communicate across, your organization, but with customers, partners, your supply chain, the government, other people that you interact with. We found out, especially recently, it's a very small world and we're all interrelated. So, simple things like the toilet paper supply chain and the Clorox wipes not being available can have a downstream impact very quickly. And you find out it's a small world. We also work around the idea of the event cycle or threat cycle, and situational awareness is key. As you can see, in most of the time, and it's a little hard to imagine right now since we're in the middle of a major disaster. But most of the time, for the last 10 or 15 years, we've had blue sky days on most of the planet. No world wars, no global pandemics, no major tsunamis that wiped out 250,000 people since the early 2000s. So, that's a time to prepare. And that message for those who haven't prepared is being driven home right now that you should have done that. And it applies to the recovery. The recovery is still developing. Now's the time to prepare for it, right? So that as things get complicated and then actually get, very severely impactful, you've actually ready. But it's important to have situational awareness across all four of these quadrants, knowing where you are, knowing what's going to affect you, knowing what the new risks are, knowing who the new partners you might need. All those things are critical elements to understanding how you're going to best respond to whatever comes up and building a more resilient future. The other thing that I want to touch on, because it's very important to the recovery elements, is information sharing. After 9/11, we learned, wow, we got a lot of intelligence groups that didn't share information with each other, and we took a devastating terrorism hit because of that. And there was a new moniker in the federal government called Dare to Share. Tell the other people, what's going on, so maybe collectively all be smarter. And Superstorm Sandy up in the New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut area reinforced that. That one of their after action items was, wow, we need a regional private sector sharing capability so that we can get these economies of scale where if everybody's talking to each other, we all know collectively versus each one of us trying to figure it out on our own. And you do that with everything you do, but at a large level, silos and different industry sectors and worries about competition and worries about proprietary information can get in the way of a cohesive sharing program that can really pay huge dividends. And so on the recovery planning, we're working on several initiatives to put companies together to share information now, not just security information, but legal information, regulation information, what's going to get in the way of the recovery that we need to bring up. And one of the projects we work on is the New York City Metropolitan Resilience Network, which has about 400 organizations credentialed to share information in a non-public forum, right? It's not all up on a website, it's in a public, non-public forum. Similarly, InfraGard, which if anyone out there is a potential member, I would recommend extremely highly. It's an FBI-sponsored public-private partnership, highly vetted members, over 70,000, and a really fantastic organization in terms of being able to share information across the entire the country. So the FBI took the 9/11 lesson on information sharing and really took it to heart and produced a fabulous organization from that standpoint. I wanted to give you a quick view of what the New York City Metropolitan Resilience Network looks like. It's an illustration of how our technology can be privately branded. This is all powered by TX360, but you'll see they have a wide range of dashboards that can be accessed for automated situational awareness. And each one of those dashboards can drill in to a large amount of information accumulated from a number of different sources. So what you'll see on here is, is information from the weather system, information from Google Traffic, publicly available cameras, links out to key sites where you're going to need other information from, things from social media, all that combined together into a visual dashboard that can be accessed and take the place of maybe visiting 12 or 15 separate websites. So all very important there. So that's an overview to kind of the environment that we operate in as a company. And I'll tell you a little bit about our two products and then go through each one in a little bit more detail. So TX360 is our enterprise level product. It's an all hazards threat monitoring situational awareness platform, tremendously capable, the ability to bring in thousands of sources of information, the ability to process that information into multiple communication paths out to your organization and the other people you work with, the ability to customize, add your corporate resources, all those types of things in an environment that operates in the cloud with extremely high uptime and is extremely economic as an enterprise product. TX Global is a turnkey subscription service that allows you to get both what we call smart alerts and visual dashboards. With, no training needed, very broad use, no need to produce your own intelligence. It'll come to you through TX Global. So I'll talk a little bit about that. And TX Global has an upgrade path to TX360, so you can start small and grow if that suits your organization's posture. These are some of the key benefits from TX360. Risk reduction, rapid response, time savings is particularly important. I'll touch on that a little bit later. And then budget flexibility as well. So because we're an OpEx project. This is an example of, in some companies, there's a large amount of information that's accumulated by everybody across the company, not shared, and can have a tremendous amount of dollar impact on what you're spending as a hidden cost to your organization. So in some cases, a tool can take the place of a very large amount of hidden costs. And then I wanted to talk about COVID-19. So clearly we're in the center of the pandemic. There's a lot of things happening across the world, and for companies, we actually have solutions that'll help from that standpoint. We can deploy TX360 on a very rapid basis. We already have a critical mass of COVID-19 dashboards and feeds that are available to provide immediate information, and information that's not just healthcare and things you learn on the news, but put in place around your corporate assets. So for example, if you have a corporate asset in Cleveland, Ohio, and there's news about a breakout in Cleveland, you're going to get that alert very close to your asset on the map, your corporate facility there. And the other good news is that this is both a distributed product and one you can use at home, because all it requires is a browser once it's set up for you. So a number of good advantages there in the sense of all this work that you do to set up TX360 and use inside the COVID-19 response is going to carry forward to other emergencies, other disasters, and the response part of COVID-19, which is going to be the recovery. So we have a global economic recovery to take care of. There's a tremendously good article from McKinsey called Decision Making in Uncertain Times that's listed on this slide. It talks about the need for a corporate nerve center where a corporation can pay attention to the hundreds, if not thousands, of different things that are going to impact them getting completely back into the game from a re-entry to the economy standpoint. So you can imagine if you're a restaurant chain and you have people across the country, how do you figure out all the different rules and regulations by state and maybe even by county that you're going to have to work through in order to get your people back to work? And that's just one aspect, is getting the people back, right? Is your supply chain back? You're going to be able to get the food that you need to produce the meals now that you got the people back at work. Is electricity going to stay solid? What else is going to come up? What happens when a reoccurrence occurs? So all those types of things inside the recovery are really key from a standpoint of being able to monitor and react, and it's going to happen in real time. And the financial impact is huge when you look at the whole world having to do this. So that's a little bit of an overview on both COVID-19 and recovery. The remaining slides are going to walk through just a capability summary of both of our products. So with TX360, some of the key issues with TX360 are the ability to rapidly deploy. It's a highly affordable product, easy to use and easy to integrate into your existing organization. So if you have other security products like mass notification and an instant response capability, it's very easy for TX360 to integrate with what you have versus other products that may say, look, you need to throw everything out and start over, which may take 3 to 6 months, which is a problem. And TX360 can also accommodate multiple models of automated intelligence or analytic curated workflow or some combination in between. Excuse me. Our platform really has four pillars to it. I'll talk about each one in turn. Our intelligence channels that come with the product actually are over 2,000. They span the globe for all 6 continents. Nothing in Antarctica today. But with that 2,000 is only a starting point. You can create your own channels from any number of different types of feeds across the internet. You can also create channels of your own internal information, and then you can aggregate those channels to filter and display in dashboards and also to be present in smart alerts out to the community. Our smart alerts are very much what they sound. You can see a couple of examples, and I'll show you a couple more as we go forward. These are real-time text and email messages that are in many cases have geolocation capability. They'll give you threat types, threat information, and can be distributed to a very specific set of people in your organization. And one of the ways to know who gets what information and what information you filter to is adding your geospatial assets into our system so that you actually know, oh, we've got 6 facilities in Southern California and we've got 4 in Massachusetts. So that's where I want my alerting focus to focus on and to discriminate that information. I'm interested in what happens with mess from a severe weather standpoint. It may affect my supply chain, but since I don't have facilities there, I want to downplay the amount of information I get from that center based on where my facilities are located. So it gives you the ability to carve your own intelligence picture. And then our dashboards are highly configurable, both on a continuous basis, where you may set one up around your corporate headquarters. It's going to be there for the next 100 years. And you may need to set one up for an emergency that happened where you've never done or interacted with that particular part of the world. And these dashboards can be quickly clipped together using a drag and drop type of method, no programming required. You can add additional information feeds and build an environment around a particular incident or emergency that you may never have run into in the past. These are a couple of examples. This is an example down at a facility standpoint where you can see the Port of Long Beach being actually outlined on a map. You can see there's some private intelligence cameras or some cameras there that are accessible, and also that there's several alerts that have happened. So you'd be able to monitor a very small area from a facility standpoint. And you can also see there's some specific links to other parts of and companies that interact, or agencies that interact with the Port of LA. You've got LA traffic coming in from social media, and you've got several other abilities to access other information. So a large number of information in a single spot. I mentioned we are now a universal technology partner. They're a huge 225,000 plus man guarding company with a whole set of other security capabilities that they can provide to companies as well. And so they have a version of our product that they resell to their customers. This is an example from a hurricane where you're able to share situational awareness with hundreds of geographically situated companies in the path of the hurricane, or other companies that were affected by what was going on inside the cone of the hurricane, and be able to share real-time situational awareness about what was going on with that, with that event. Similarly, we've done a lot of tracking with the California wildfires and other events that cover a very wide area, and also some very small areas inside of New York City and other places. So this slide is of the Honolulu Airport. It illustrates another key function of our system, which is the ability to bring in information from foreign information sources or mixed language sources. And using Google Translate inside of Google Chrome, you can actually translate all this information to English. So you can normalize information, or if you're a foreign language user and you want the entire dashboard to be in Spanish, Google Chrome will also enable that and give you the capability to have that automatic translation. So that's an overview to TX360. As I mentioned, that's our full service product. It allows you to have a toolkit inside your corporate intelligence center, or use our professional analysts to outsource services so that you have very specific, highly customized capabilities for your corporation. TX Global is a subset of TX360. It's derived from our technology, but it's an online subscription service that provides critical intelligence, gives you breaking alerts on email and text, gives you dashboards, and is very aggressively priced to provide that to a broad number of customers. And so with TX Global, you get global learning, visual dashboards, the capability to engage our analysts, intelligence feeds, the same 2,000 plus feeds from around the world, and knowing that our platform is processing 500,000 plus events per day in order to bring the right intelligence into TX Global to be distributed out. And there are 3 tiers of TX Global products. So there's a $99 product, which brings you alerting and 3 international dashboards or global dashboards, including North America. There's a $249 per month product, which gives you all those alerts, plus 3 geospatial locations that you can put on your maps. And there's a work group product at $499 a month, where you can get all the information from the first 2 products. It supports 5 users, and you get 50 geospatial locations that you can actually place on the various dashboards and use as ability to filter information. So one of the keys is managing overload inside any alert product that you look at. So in TX Global, you can go through, you can actually check the different alerts that you want from different areas. So if you have no presence in Africa, you will get any low-level alerts from Africa if you exclude those alerts. If something very large happens, you'll still get an alert in the global priority alerts that are the core, curated by our analysts on a day in and day out basis, where we watch for major world events and publish those to everybody. But you get to set your content selection. The way the content flows into TX Global is what we call our Smart Alert dashboard. You'll see on the left, these are the different categories of information I've chosen to get. As those alerts come in, they're actually color coded to very important, which is red, medium, which is orange, lower priority, which is gray, and you can click into those alerts and actually see all the information. You can go back to the original source of that and be able to zoom in and see that, and I'll show you how that looks as well. So when you end up taking a smart alert and getting it as an email, you'll see it's like this. It's a rich TX Global branded alert. It's got the title, it's got the content, it's got where it came from originally, and it comes with a geospatial map. If it's geospatially enabled, in some cases alerts don't have a geospatial basis if it's a cyber attack or something like that. If you're using our tier 2 and tier 3 product that has geospatial capability, the alerts will actually look and see how far from your particular assets did that incident occur. So you can see, this incident in Oregon was 144 miles from one of the assets that we had, which happened to be in Seattle. So it will give you that information as well. When you get these alerts in the Smart Alert view, you can then turn around and share with as many people inside your corporation as you want. So you get a wide capability for moving that information out through the corporation. So one person may get the alerts, but they can forward it to as many inside the corporation as they want. And then the dashboards I mentioned come with a varying number per version of our product. Right now we're providing all of our coronavirus dashboards to everybody in all the tiers of our product, as well as making many of them available on a free public basis with the links I had at the beginning of the presentation. And you'll see these are the types of information you can see. So in many cases, they parallel the channels you were able to select for smart alerts, where you can go in and look at what's happening in North America, what's happening in Asia, what's happening in Europe. Let me see those. And I want to also see, health information that's not, incredibly important, where it's up in our high priority alerts, but it's granular, and you may be able to see from a large number of countries different things going on from a health side. These are some examples. I'll go through these fairly quickly. These are examples of some of the different dashboards that are contained. This one gives you a very good idea of the status of each country by global total. These are updated automatically on a periodic basis, and you can see all this information is continuously updated and gives you a large number of capabilities. Similarly, if you're a business, you're certainly interested in the health side and the health impact of coronavirus, but you may also be needing to watch, what's happening to your company, what's happening to your industry. So these is a business-oriented version of a dashboard that can collect information about that. Similarly, over in the far right-hand bottom, you'll see there are certain events that are being tracked that have been postponed or canceled. So you're getting updated information versus having to go out and find that all on your own. So monitoring things that are important to you can become a very good thing. This is an example of our analyst team's work. You'll see the different alerts across the country, and if we were in TX Global, you'd be able to look at this on a worldwide basis and look at all these different alerts as they appear around. And if your assets were entered into the system, those assets would also appear in this display, so you can see what's near your assets just from a standard standpoint. Similarly here, this is a map of all the U.S. embassies around the world, and you can see what's going on from a status standpoint, but also what are the alerts that are happening near each one of those embassies. So you could literally drill right down into the country using the map capability and be able to do some analysis there. So that's an overview to TX Global, and as a final item, I wanted to touch on where's our industry going and what should you be thinking about over the next 2 or 3 years. So having a solution like TX Global and TX360 is important, but we're going to continue to augment our products with information from new technologies as they show up. So we're continually looking at new artificial intelligence solutions to make better information come into TX Global and TX360 to help mine the data, look at it from a faster standpoint and from a much more insightful standpoint, so we can pass those to our customers. We also think intelligent video is going to be a tremendous impact on alerting over the next 3 to 5 years. So intelligent video is different than what you've seen in the past 20 years. So if you've sat in front of a camera and watched it, or if you've had a bad event happen and then had to go to the footage that was stored in the video management system to see, oh yeah, here's where it happened, right? Well, that's all forensic type of things, where intelligent video can be proactive. The cameras can actually be smart enough to look at the parking lot and say, oh, we just saw a license plate that shouldn't be in that parking lot, so we're going to monitor that. Oh, we just saw somebody that we knew was mad at the company get out of his car and he's got a gun. And so suddenly we've got advance notice because the video system is able to watch and send an alert about a particular status. So you're going to see a lot of development there over the next several years. And you're also going to see a tremendous jump forward, even in the next couple of years, in high-speed internet on every inch of the planet through low Earth orbit satellites from SpaceX and Amazon. So this will be incredible, especially when combined with Internet of Things sensors that are getting cheaper, faster, easier to deploy. And now with high-speed internet from the sky, can be almost anywhere. So if you're dealing with wide area applications, if you're an energy company, if you're a timber company like Weyerhaeuser, you've got millions of acres to monitor, the ability to have sensors is going to become much easier to do. Same with fire sensors and a whole set of other things. And then robots and drones are going to continue to get better every year. They're being deployed for security in a lot of cases. Our partner Allen Universal has done a number of projects with robots. The drones have the potential to take artificial intelligence video, and a wide number of other capabilities and actually pull that information back to the command center so that you're getting a far richer set of feeds about a particular incident or problem. And then when you start adding these things together, you get a whole set of what are called combinant solutions where suddenly, because of X and because of Y, because of Z, suddenly something else can emerge as this fantastic system for monitoring information and lowering the risk profile of the organization, which is really the whole idea of getting forward-looking situational awareness, bringing it into your organization, is to mitigate and prevent problems before they get out of control, and give you that response capability. So in summary, this is a critical function. Situational awareness is important. Watch your front. There's certainly things behind you, but a lot of things come through the front door. They're coming, and if you're monitoring them proactively, you can have more response time and hopefully a chance to prevent or mitigate all those incidents from happening. And I would encourage you about information sharing. So you can certainly do this on your own, and if you're a $50 billion company, you may have the resources to do it. But if you're information sharing with other people on a non-proprietary basis, everybody gets smarter, everybody gets better information faster. So it's something I consider. And then from a priority standpoint, I'd encourage you to do everything you can from stemming the pandemic and all of us getting through this together. So all the standard stuff you're seeing from the White House and everybody else. We want people to figure out how to accelerate the recovery, how to come back to information sharing and planning and being proactive as one of the #1 tools that's going to allow us to run to our new normal versus stumble along and maybe get there a month late or 2 months late. So huge amount of risk there. And then key in both of those is, remembering the hard lessons we're learning right now. Let's figure out how to be more prepared next time, so that we don't end up repeating some of the problems that we've had today, and make it in a way where no matter what the problem is that emerges, right? Clearly, the next pandemic, we'd be all ready for it. But what happens if instead of a pandemic, it's a solar EMP, where suddenly we have a large-scale power outage around the world? Would we have that resilience thought of ahead of time and in place? Would we, instead of ventilators, would we have a national stockpile of generators so that we could deploy those to critical areas? So important to think about all the different things that could happen, and that's one of the main focuses of what we do as a company. So thanks for attending, and Julie, if you have questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Great, thanks so much, Pete. A couple questions here. First of all, can you talk about what makes the service like TX Global stand out over something like breaking news?
Sure. So breaking news is a publicly available service. Great thing that you can use. What we allow is the ability to take information and target it inside your organization to what's meaningful for you. So there are a lot of great fire hoses out there. The question is how do you take that fire hose, narrow it down into something that's a little less of a of a fire hose, maybe a haystack, and then from that haystack derive the actionable needles of intelligence that you need inside your corporation. So it's an information reduction process, and we think we provide a very strong capability for taking that fire hose, filtering and targeting that information, and then driving it into something that's actionable by your by your company, and giving you the tools to distribute it to people inside your company, customers, partners, other people that you interact with.
Great. So you mentioned the different few of the different sources. Can you talk about where you're sourcing the information?
Sure. So we have over 2,000 sources of information, and those run the gamut from news sources in multiple languages, um, government alerts like severe weather, flooding, those types of things, social media from a number of different sources, and things including things as far afield as Instagram and Reddit and YouTube, which with a surprising amount of information on YouTube that you may want to monitor, especially from a brand protection standpoint. And then we can also bring in internal information. So if you have information inside your company from machines, we can bring that information in. But we also have the ability to do email publishing, where if you want to harness email comments about the different things in our system, people can have email addresses where they're actually publishing information to you about what they're seeing on the various intelligence pieces that you're sending in.
Great. And you mentioned that you have analysts working behind the scenes. Can you describe that a little bit more?
Sure. So we have dedicated personnel whose job it is to help with that information reduction process. They go through, and on the channel standpoint, they vet our channels to make sure we're bringing in solid, reputable channels in terms of information, and then they'll actually curate that information because in some cases it's unclear what the geospatial location of an event is. They categorize it, so we have they actually ended up creating over the last 15 months a repository of global alerts that are all tagged, formed, geospatially aware, and curated, that can be used downstream for some very good intelligence analytics capabilities. So and they run the gamut from people with backgrounds in intelligence, people with backgrounds in psychology, people with backgrounds in information and social media. So we have a really interesting mix of analysts.
Great. And you mentioned sharing briefly. How can I share the information that I receive in these alerts?
So information sharing there's a number of different levels. So inside your corporation, if you're using TX Global, for example, you can share the email information with as many people as you want inside your corporation, and as a great way of spreading the word about those. You can also add your own information as a header to those alerts that you're sharing through the Smart Alert Queue. With TX360, you can actually enable people from outside your corporation. So you might have a group of customers that you want to access your dashboards and get smart alerts. You may have a group of suppliers, and they can each see different sets of information and receive different smart alerts that you set up as a means of sharing. And then you can give them the ability to feed back to you to create kind of a circular environment where you're getting a full feedback loop on the information that you're sharing.
Great. And what areas of the world do you cover, and what languages?
We cover the whole world, so we have feeds from around the world, and using technology like Google Chrome, we can actually drive all that information into English. So we're a U.S.-based company. Several of our analysts are fluent in secondary languages, but we mostly work in English. But using the magic of Google Translate, you can do a tremendous amount of things that even 5 years ago would have been extremely difficult to do in terms of accessing, Arabic feeds or feeds in, African languages that you may have a very difficult time getting a translator for. So it gives you a great head start and a harbinger of kind of the artificial intelligence can be built into these systems going forward.
Great. And then one final question. If I'm interested in subscribing or getting more information about subscribing to one of these services, what could I do next?
On the screen that I'm showing right now is our website. We invite you to come to our website. You've got my email also. If you have specific questions, I'd be happy to answer them, or I'll get you to the right person inside of our organization to answer them. With TX Global, we have a 7-day trial where you can actually come in, sign up for TX Global, use it for 7 days. If you don't like it, no harm, no foul. And then with TX360, we can have an elongated discussion about how it would fit into your corporate security capabilities.
Excellent. Well, thank you so
Great.
much.
Nope. Thanks for coming, and hopefully everybody got the information needed. If not, feel free to follow up and contact us.
Great. Goodbye, all.